Hi everyone. Today I will talk to you a little bit about the science of leptin, what leptin is, and why we need to know about it if we want to successfully use the hunger scale. So leptin is a hormone. It is made in the body, in the fat cells, and we can also get that hormone and stimulation of that hormone from outside sources, okay? And leptin lets the body know whether or not it is time to eat. It stimulates hunger. And everybody's leptin is produced differently. And I will now show you how exactly it happens in the body and how it influences and changes your hunger and why exactly no one can tell you how much you are supposed to eat. Only you know that. So let me show you here. Okay, so leptin is made in a fat cell, and each and every one of us has a lot of these fat cells in the body. Depending on your adipose tissue size, you have either more of these fat cells or less. Each and every fat cell has something called the mitochondria in it. It is an energy producing factory in the cell. This is where energy is being made in your body. So this little drawing shows you a fat cell, the mitochondria inside the cell, and also the fatty acids available for the cell inside of it. So when we are consuming food, this is a picture of an apple. The food that is being eaten by you is actually a hormonal stimulant. When you eat it, depending on the composition of the food, and I will go over this in a moment, the stimulant from the food will let the fat cell know to start producing leptin. Leptin is being released from the fat cell, and leptin also lets the fat cell know that it's time to release the fuel from the fat. Start using the fatty acids to make ATP, an energy unit in the body. So the stimulus to increase the leptin and start this process comes from food. Also, leptin lets the brain know to make enzymes to start making ATPs. Okay, so your brain regulates the fatty acid metabolism. So everything here is very, very connected. The food you eat lets the brain know to start making the enzymes, and those enzymes let the fat cell know to start making energy. And all of that is regulated by leptin. Some foods stimulate the leptin a lot more than others. Sugar is the strongest stimulant of leptin. It also is the strongest stimulant of hormonal changes in the body because leptin is a hormone. Then we have starch and fat, dietary fat itself, because it does not differ from this fat right here in the cell and the fat that you are eating, let's say, from French fries. Then we have proteins and complex carbohydrates that also stimulate leptin, but not as much as starch, sugar, and fat. And as you know, starch, sugar, and fat are very common components in processed foods all over the world, especially in sweets. So why is this science important? Because when you are a person that has less body fat, you have less of these cells in your body. When you're someone who has more body fat, you have more of these cells in your body. And each and every one of these cells makes leptin, releases the leptin. So this explains to us why a person that is skinnier might need a little more food. Here there's a picture of 2 apples to satisfy this person's hunger. 2 apples will release enough leptin to stimulate give a stimulus to all of these cells to start making energy so the body has the energy to use it. A person that has a little bit more fat usually feels less hungry because there is a lot more cells available for the production of leptin. That's why a person that has a little bit more fat cells in comparison to this one needs less food to satisfy hunger. Let's now take a look at what actually hunger is in the body and how we experience it. When we are hungry, we have less glucose and leptin available in the brain. And that lets the body know that we are hungry. We start to feel hunger. Hunger can have different symptoms. A lot of people feel irritated. They have an urge to eat. They start fantasizing about food. You probably know how hunger feels. Some of us might have hunger pangs and growling in the stomach, although it doesn't always happen. So as hunger goes up, our irritation, frustration, and urgency to eat goes up as well. Also, when we are hungry, our thyroid slows down. The thyroid hormones go down. The metabolism is lowered in order to preserve the body tissues, and so we are not metabolizing all of the fatty acids available in the cell. So if you are someone who has issues with body fat and also low thyroid, examine your hunger and whether or not you are eating when you are hungry, okay? So let's talk about this little equation I have here. Let's say your body is making 10 units of leptin right now, and your body also needs about 10 units of energy right now, depending on what is it that you're doing, how hot it is outside, what time in your menstrual cycle you are, whether you are fighting a disease or not, maybe some illness, infection, and you are giving your body enough of that energy. And at the end of the equation, there is no hunger left over. And now let's say that your fat is giving you only 8 units of leptin because you are smaller or you're eating food that does not stimulate the leptin very, very highly, okay? But your body still needs the energy and still needs to have the fatty acids made into ATP so you can then use it, okay? From this equation, we see that you will be missing 2 units, and because we are below what we actually need, you will experience starvation. And this is exactly why diets don't work, because no one will be able to tell you how much leptin you are going to make given the combination of different food components in your foods that you are eating, then working in your brain and giving you this. Diets will not tell you that. Diets will not tell you when you're supposed to eat, so the biology is included in it, okay? So over time, the leptin in the body raises up and goes down depending on what is it that you're eating. And this line, the arbitrary line in the middle, represents feeling no hunger and not satisfaction. When leptin goes down, and it happens very, very quickly depending on how much body fat you have, okay? When the leptin goes down, we start feeling hunger and signs of hunger. And when we get below the point of, let's say when you start feeling frustrated and you lose patience to the experience of hunger, that's when you're supposed to eat, okay? When we go below that, we get ourselves into starvation. We get brain fog, our body starts to go after the carbohydrates stored in the muscle, and then after the protein, the body protein, which is the muscles. That's where we are losing muscles on starvation diets. When we are eating and the leptin goes up, the hunger goes away. as we are eating, then the hunger will start going down even more to the point of satisfaction. When we reach that point and we are not feeling full or sick yet, when the hunger goes away, that's when we had enough stimulation of leptin for the hunger to go away and for the fatty acids from the body to be used for production of ATPs. When we eat beyond this point of satisfaction, we start feeling full and sick. We have full stomach, we feel lethargic, we cannot move. So in this zone, when we are eating between when the hunger starts and we feel satisfaction, not fullness, you usually do not gain fat because there is enough ATP made in the body and not too much. Okay? And this is called the hunger scale. Now, the hunger scale itself can be used as a diet. If your goal is to lose body fat without addressing what you're eating and why you're eating, especially when you are not hungry, there will be just another diet. Okay? So as you can see from my presentation right here, knowledge of leptin and how it works is super important, and it invalidates 99% of the diets available on the market. If you have any questions, drop it in the comments below.